I, the Redeemer. I was sitting in the bathtub, soaping myself, when a rocket landed in the water between the sponge and my big toe. It was a public holiday with fireworks, so I naturally assumed it was just a new type of firecracker, since I had already washed my eyes. Nice but rather nearsighted, I had to trust them. The rocket's door opened, and 5 tiny figures stepped out. They wandered among the mountains of foam for a while before finally climbing onto my plastic rubber duck, which has been my inseparable bath companion since childhood. The aliens, for they were indeed extraterrestrial beings, not marvels of electronics, greeted me politely. Good day. I tried to respond with a dignity befitting an inhabitant of this planet. Hello, dear Earthling, began the spokesperson of the visitors. On behalf of the Intergalactic Economic Council's AID initiative, we have chosen you to assume the role of humanity's next Redeemer. My heart skipped a beat. The ripple it caused in the water carried the creatures, still standing on my rubber duck, around my stomach and closer to my armpit. I examined them carefully. The space travelers were dressed appropriately for the seriousness of the situation. They wore pink flippers on their feet, tight rubber suits, and tiny flags of the council on their heads. Our aid organizations periodically inspect advanced civilizations. The spokesperson continued, now seated in an armchair on my unshaven chest. He pulled out a chart from under the chair, propped it against one of my larger rashes, and continued explaining. This chart shows a curve representing the dangers threatening Earth's civilization over the past 100,000 years. In the early days, when humans first descended from the trees, there was no need for intervention. However, there were already self-proclaimed redeemers. They preached, mainly to avoid chasing mammoths or finding caves. But soon they consumed all the mammoths first raw, later cooked with mustard. 2,000 years ago, one of our employees attempted to reform Earth's immoral lifestyles. We disapproved of the practice of feeding lions and tigers with gladiators and other unqualified laborers. The intervention failed. Fortunately, the gladiators quickly ran out, and the slaves received better qualifications. I felt deeply ashamed of humanity's history. I submerged my head into the cooling bathwater out of guilt. When I came back up for air, the little alien official continued his account of humanity's other redeemers. In the Middle Ages, we employed a few individuals to explain how tiny Earth is in the vastness of the universe, so its inhabitants would stop behaving arrogantly. These scientists were either quartered, dissolved in acid, burned, or so terrified they would have denied their own mothers. Galileo Galilei, for instance, after recanting his heliocentric theory in court, never visited his grandmother again. In the last 150 years, other employees of ours promoted reason and science. Some people listened, others didn't. Then came the dictators. The result? You know it well. Millions of pets left without owners. Concluding his historical overview, the cosmic traveler furrowed his brows and solemnly declared, "Reason did not prevail. Perhaps stupidity will succeed. You shall be the herald of foolishness." I accepted the resolution unanimously. The space traveler slid the chart back under his armchair, which scratched me slightly. To ease the discomfort, I hugged my rubber duck. I wanted to share my joy with it. Surely, it had never imagined it would one day be the best friend of a future redeemer. Formalities followed. Signing the employment agreement. Success would bring a significant reward. Failure, the same. There was no need for detailed discussions about my duties, as I had already been committing foolish acts, continuously and in great quantities throughout my life. Now I simply had to proclaim foolishness. I promised to do my best.